Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and these are the things that I learned with Weeha's Invoker at TI6. In this game, he's mid against Razor. A very hard matchup for the Invokers, especially if the Razor is left unchecked. While the Invoker won't free farm, it's pretty unlikely that either hero will have kill potential on one another, unless support rotations happen. If you are confused as of why Weeha has the Wraith Band instead of a new talisman, you can also watch the video I made about his style of play with the hero. The thing with this game is that the Razor's block is way better since the DC supports actually rotated bot to the aggro tri-lane against the anti-mage, so you can see that he is not having the best time of his life there. Since the Invoker has very bad move speed and since the Razor has the block advantage, it's very easy for him to zone the Invoker out of the creeps and soak a lot of extra damage early on.
To swap. The downside though is they are going to have an ET Naga Siren lane, which double melee you don't ever want to see is they're going to run into misery right here.
He gets a lot of his creeps denied and Weeha has to play pretty far back. With level 2 he gets the Forest Spirits and has a somewhat safer option to let him contest the Razor.
This top lane in terms of harassment.
Yeah, its first like 1 or 2 minutes is so important for the same thing versus...
You can see how the Razor abuses the lack of move speed against the Invoker. By the rate of damage stolen alone, you know that the Razor is already level 3, while the Invoker is 2, as well as he got level 2 static link. In this clip, Weeha is doing the right thing. The best thing he can do here is to draw aggro and risk less hitting under the tower. The Razor will definitely deny the creep since he has damage and attack animation advantage. By drawing the aggro, he has at least the chance of getting the hits without the Razor denying them, even though it's pretty hard to less hit either way. It's very rare for an Invoker to go after a rune, but when he sees the glimpse of a double damage rune he definitely gets tempted to get it, since it helps him fight against the Razor and also it denies the rune from the hero. Also he definitely didn't want it to less hit against Razor's high ground and with outputs.
Now against the Timbersaw, though, the tides may turn as we get to level 5 and 6 and the Chakram comes up with the Timbersaw.
And the early rotational power of the Sand King might beat out the Timbersaw by a little bit, but...
In this clip he sends the Forest Spirits to scout the top rune. He tries to go for it, but he knows that the Razor has way higher move speed than him, so he denies it while at the same time hits the Sandstrike to guarantee first blood. I won't go in too much detail here since a lot of the stuff is already in my Invoker guide from Weeha, but usually you want to always have Forest Spirit and Sunstrike learned and preferably never switch spells until way later into the game. The cooldown on Invoke is too big, and if you use Cold Snap only to harass the enemy, not only you're wasting a lot of mana, but you may lose less hits because you don't have the Forest Spirits, or lose guaranteed kills if you give up on the Sunstrike, and this is one of the cases where it pays off to not switch skills at all. Switching skills early on Exort Invoker is something you should almost never aim to. In this game, he only switches spells after 16 minutes, for you to get an idea. See how he's already out of mana by using only these 2 spells and not even switching to other ones? It's pretty clear that the Razor is dominating the lane, and finally after 5 minutes of torture and 23 creeps denied, he gets Briefing Room with a 2 hero rotation from DC. See how he didn't switch spells again? The early game of Exort Invoker is focused on these 2 spells alone, and very rarely you'll see an Invoker changing them. There are some Exort Invokers that go for the Alacrity early, but it's been pretty rare as of 6.88 and mainly used on specific hero matchups, for instance against the Storm Spirit. But anyway, a big part of DC winning this game is how the Invoker just respected the matchup and understood that he wouldn't be able to farm, but would be able to get experience. He got the creeps that were easy but focused mainly on surviving and trying to use the Forest Spirits as best as possible without feeding them, as well as getting kills with Sunstrike. This is the key here. He also brings the Clarity, something that you should always do with Exort Invoker in the early game since you will need extra mana. You always want to have mana for a Sunstrike since those 50 golds on the Clarity could give you way more. Another important aspect of Exort Invoker in the early game is not throwing Sunstrikes just because someone is low. It's pretty rare for Weeha to throw Sunstrikes randomly. He only throws them on stunned heroes or heroes going through choke points he can't see. Sunstrike costs a lot of mana in the early game and he would rather use it for sure kills. And since he waited, check what happens right after. He gets a kill.
So well done by EC there.
The momentum slowly changes. The really underfarmed Invoker is now going towards his Midas, and well, something I want to point out that maybe someone in the same situation would have done differently. People know that Midas is core on Invoker, and sometimes when facing hard lanes or too much ganks, people try to bypass boots or the Basilius just to have a fast Midas, and it really doesn't pay off. These initial items make you stronger in lane, guarantees you can rotate faster to the jungle, as well as have the mana to get Sunstrike kills. My point being, Naked Midas is an abomination, guys. God didn't create us to be that naughty. If I knew more about Dota lore, I would have made a better joke, but anyways, thanks to the clarity that he popped and the Basilius, he managed to get mana to throw a Sunstrike that almost guarantees a kill on the Anti-Mage while spamming Forge Spirits in the lane the entire time. And you can't deny that a big part of these last hits only occurred thanks to the Force Spirits, like this Siege unit for instance. A lot of people when facing hard lanes or lanes that they can get less hits optimally rotate to the jungle, but what you need to understand about Invoker is that he's only decent in the jungle after level 8 with double Force Spirits. Even if you get denied a lot in the mid lane, you will still get more levels with the hero in lane, and that's the point of the hero, getting levels. He's the hero that scales best with levels in the entire game probably, but there's always the chance of ganks, and as I type this video script he gets ganked. And well, if you're really dying too much in lane, then it's okay to rotate to the jungle, but that will not stop you from dying if the team really wants to kill you. So the important part here is that the lane gives you a lot of experience and you should try to make use of it as best as possible. But well, you always have to remember that your hero doing well is not the only point of the game. The tier 1 mid tower is very important, so you're not only trading slightly more farm and safety for Lexa experience, you're also giving 1k gold for the enemy team as well as map control. And even after being ganked, he stays in the mid lane. Just to further emphasize my point, during this entire 10 minutes, even when he got ganked, he didn't switch spells, and here we see him getting a Sunstrike kill on the AM again. And he gets an 11-minute Midas, which is definitely a bad timing, but considering his lane and his deaths, it's okay. His team successfully shut the AM down quite a bit, and by not completely losing the lane, he already made a lot for his team. He has 10 less hits than the Razor, but he's a hero that scales infinitely more, and he also has global skills and had the disadvantage in lane. If he decided to rush the Midas, he could have died more times, he could not have the mana to use Sunstrike or even get the same time with the Midas since he would have less base damage overall and less mana to use the Forge Spirits. One of the strengths of the level 8 double Forge Spirit is being able to farm both the jungle and lane very reliably. And even though DC thinks they are being smoked, they managed to dodge the smoke, and at the same time we have got the lane farm as well as he pushed the lane.
Yeah, he has that wave of terror when the creep waves come in. He can always pull the creep wave off the tower back into the tier 2.
Now that they reveal themselves, he can easily go back to the lane, and when someone shows up, he backs off, and this is how Invoker works. He's a hero that takes time to get online, and you shouldn't feel pressured to do stuff with your team unless things are completely out of control. In this clip we can see again that he really avoids using Sunstrike in moving targets, and thankfully the Timbersaw gets the kill.
The trees in range with the Burrow Strike. Resolution not dead yet, but will fall underneath the tier 2. Moves here now, chases down Old 11, misses the Chakram though. He needed that one to last, falls and into the...
eHome tries to gank him mid, and he just summons more Forge Spirits and goes to a safe spot to farm. There's probably no hero in the game that can reliably farm the jungle while protecting his tier 1 tower so early like Invoker, and this is definitely one of the reasons the hero is so strong. Even against hard matchups, he usually can survive, and even with a late Midas, he can ramp his farm after level 8 without losing map control and having global killing capabilities. After clearing the mid lane, he summons more Forge Spirits, kills the stack.
Gonna find Misery with the disruption, not close enough on Lanham though to deal with it.
Now if the creeps closer to his tower, he can farm there safely. The second core item of this build is the Drums of Endurance. It's a very good item because it gives attack speed and move speed to the Forge Spirits, which are basically your strongest spell since you're spending pretty much every level on Quas and Exort to get a double Forge Spirits, and it actually helps your team to fight and push if you need to. Okay guys, this is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this replay breakdown, check the link in the description. I can't overstate how this video wouldn't never be possible without the huge help from the Pugna guys, so show them some love. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe to it. I'm making videos like this every day, and I'm sure something here will spark your interest. With the changes to the ranged creep experience, it is now more valuable than ever to deny the ranged creep. But he doesn't do it. One of my theories is that the Sand King can double wave the Timbersaw very fast with Caustic Finale, so it would mean that the Timber would hatch less hit under the tower at level 1 and take unnecessary damage, which Wings wanted to avoid, so he doesn't do it. If you're not used to Enigma, against camps like the Centaur and the Tomato camp, you always want to draw aggro first and then use your Eidolons, because it avoids them taking too much damage early since they are very weak at the early levels. Also, getting used to keep all of the Eidolons alive is something a lot of people undervalue, and we can see he takes good care of his babies. You usually can stack the medium camp with Midnight